Hey, this is session 0 of the seasonal campaign.
Yay.
Yeah.
Welcome. Welcome, future us. Enjoy as we plot and we
Oh, no.
plan. So, yeah, I've given you guys the gist of the idea here. It's going to be short interim campaigns with continuous characters and a linked story, but each campaign, each arc, it's gonna wrap itself up, but at the same time segue into the next one, and gonna try to do this in a way that it runs in tandem with the festivity and things we'll be experiencing in real life. And once again, short-term type campaigns, so not uh, overarching sprawls that we're gonna take every living breath with your character. But I do want to get to know your characters well. It's always actually what makes a good game is when we foray. It's protagonist, that driving force, that cast, and the growth you guys make. Mind you, with that being said, the this first arc, the Shadowed Keep on the Borderlands, it is kind of baked into itself. It's an older D&D adventure that I converted for us. And being older D&D, it is very hack and slash. But there was a lot of gems and like just good story aspects to work in there as well. There's a lot of factions and you know renown based principles and a reputation system in a manner. So that's something you guys can expect is that that you're going to the Borderlands where there is just this one keep. It is, a dangerous place. And I think from what I know about your characters already, that is what some of them would want, or, just the hand they've been dealt. It does make sense. So expect that going in. And also renown, reputation. That's something, I mean, I'll keep track of that myself, but treat that as like a resource. All of you, well, once you get to like the keep, right, which is going to be like the central location you take on all these tensions from. Once you get there, you're gonna like, well, it's gonna matter what's your standing with the keep and the different players within it. And once you go out into the wilderness and you see everything out there, making the calls for yourself, what reputations and what things will you leave behind? Because kind of like in a Fallout game series way, how those endings go when you play through the Fallout and you get to the end based on every little thing you did, you get this like certain outcome, right? The Mojave is saved by X. Same thing will stand for the Borderlands. You guys, you're all coming to this keep. You're gonna meet, and then whatever happens to this place after you guys leave, it's directly because of the actions you took, who you aligned yourself with, and how true you were to your own character growth. And so I'd say that those are like my expectations, and I chosen all of you because I enjoy to play with all of you. We're all friends, but what are you expecting? Like, are you hoping to dive deep into your backgrounds? I mean, there's room for it, but like I said, these are going to be a little bit railroad, but by our own volition, and at the same time, maintaining our verisimilitude, which is our suspension of belief, using our imaginations, but all knowing, all kind of agreeing beforehand that this first campaign, the Shadow Keep on the Borderlands, we're expecting to, we all agree to that contract that we're going to go do the thing, that we're all here to make the Borderlands better. You didn't come to the keep to like start a brothel, you guys, I don't like saying no. I usually won't, but it's going to be pretty on track, pretty focused game seasons. Those are pretty much my expectations. So once again, it's I know already that there's a lot of combat in this, but it's not all combat. There's a lot of social stuff, right? Another expectation, there's going to be reputation and renown. I expect you to keep track of that. I'll do it on my end, but you also do it on yours. And that's it really from me. You know what I mean? Like everyone shows up when we play. And actually, there's one more thing. I'm totally open to like PvP, and if there's like a super hard choice in game, like we're starting this season's game in the darker season. I said this before we started the recording, right? But summer is ending, the light is fading, we're going into darkness, and in these sort of medieval or fantasy times, it's a spookier time. So that is going to be sort of like the tone and genre I'm expecting going into this. Like a lot of your characters are kind of already, I'm looking at them in a grayscale, black and white. They've been through some shit, and they could flop either way. They could work for the forces of law as intended, make it through, move on to the next thing, or you guys fall privy to chaos. And you know what's good about that though? Either way, we still move on to the next thing. Like no matter what happens. But yeah, I'm expecting there to be some like tough choices here and there, and like especially when there is a lot of combat, I want to see like you guys like where your minds differ and like that good RP that I know you're all capable of.
Good. God, that got me so hyped.
Okay, but what about yourselves? What kind of expectations or wants do you have? Either one of you.
I'll go first. Expectations, as you said, awesome RP. I think we're all capable of bouncing off each other really well. I'm excited to see Silver play a character that isn't Alikos. I only get to see Alikos. Now I get to see you play other stuff.
Yay.
But I expect from you specifically, Ghost, is dark shit. I expect to be traumatized, and if I'm not, I may be a little disappointed in you. I'll be honest.
Loving that gritty.
Yeah, I'm ready for that gritty. I want to see what gritty is. You know what I mean? Like, I want this to be like the perfect representation of the word gritty.
Yeah, that's a good point. We are going to play the gritty rules and all of that.
Hell yeah, we are. Yes. Only way to play D&D. That's what I'm expecting.
That's true.
Okay, so Jess wants dark stuff. She wants to taste the grit.
I want to cry.
Yeah, I do too. Like, I love those moments, you know? It's like, when you face true darkness, true despair, it's, do you give in, or do you, like, cling on to that tiny little light of hope? Because when things are darkest is, truly when your characters are tested. And I think truly where the best RP comes from.
Exactly.
So I vibe with that 100%.
Yeah, we seem pretty like-minded. Is there anything else?
Bring the suffering. Let's bring the suck.
Bring the suck.
In a totally Anyway,
I expect to have my very considered small existence of myself to be shook to its bottom of its core, to the string that's barely holding me up, to wiggle and almost snap, if not even. To see into those that I do not want to, but must.
Yes. So we all agree on everything so far. That's good. Agreeing is good.
I love some tough quandaries.
And to be clear, my boundaries do still stand. You know the little things that have been known to put me off in the past, but that's probably not gonna come here. Yeah.
Yeah, personal things like that.
Yeah.
And I have
otherwise
I'm all for gritty, but like I do have like humane conditions I like to keep. Like there's certain things I won't get into in my games. But I'm all for see someone fucked up, and you like Saw, you chop this guy's leg off, or what do you do? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, like
So similar
like
expectations. It's good. That kind of brings us to like schedule. So, once a week. Obviously, we have to play at least once a week for the campaign to exist. So we know that. Fortunately, Bibby isn't here. But Tuesday was a day that everyone was saying was good, right?
Yeah, let me scroll up and look at what he put.
So yeah, if we can get a good game in every Tuesday, of course, that's wonderful. And then like ideally for me, like I want to try to get 2 games in a week, even if it's like not all of you can come, but it's like that second game is just like you do all the downtime stuff. Like we don't have to do that in the session. Like you buy your tent and you do your crafting in this like extra session, like a little bit extra RP, stuff like that. We can just kind of like with the less amount of time get more within this interim game. But that's like a working thing. We'll just keep in touch on that.
So, yeah, I'm gonna do a little graph of like all the times we're available. Ghost, I'm assuming you're not gonna want to run twice in one day, right?
Depends what day.
Okay, what day would you be willing to do that? So let's get your schedule done first.
No, straight up, I wouldn't want to run 2 in one day again.
Yeah,
No.
yeah. Okay, so Sundays, Mondays are out. Tuesdays we have planned. What time did we say? We put a time. Shoot. We need to set up a time for Tuesday.
We can always come back to this like outside of the recording.
That's fair.
Thing. Move on. We'll move on to your characters. So if Bibby in the future is listening to this, this part may be important to listen to. Whoever wants to start, you can just sort of. The format I'm expecting is like don't like give your whole backstory, your character voice, none of that. Like we'll do that in game. You will experience it, we'll live it, we'll breathe it. Right now, just like what can people expect from you? Like for example, I don't think any of you are playing this. Like let's say I was one of the players, and I'm playing an asshole, and just so all of you know, like it's gonna be really, really hard to get along with my character. So that we have that on the table, knowing that in our secret social contract that is the thing, right? We're not going to be surprised when this guy is a dick or whatever.
Okay.
So yeah, you can just kind of say like a little bit about your character. What's the flavor? Maybe what inspired this character? Just kind of like more offhanded, outside of the box things that still give us like a vague general idea. I think the two of you have talked a little bit already before, but we'll just get it on the air again. Yeah, go ahead, Cassius.
I think Cassius, he's going to be a character who is, I suppose, going to want to try to, guide the party in terms of moral philosophy, and I suppose trying to try to be the party's rock. In terms of, I suppose, when things get desperate or things get drastic, try to remain rational and try to keep a focus on the bigger picture and try to guide others into doing the same. So he might. So I suppose in things of like high stress or high situations, you might seem pushy with what he is insistent on.
Yeah, and we've seen you play
for your benefit.
And we've like you're good at that. We've seen you. We've seen you play mentor type characters or like characters who can see the bigger picture before. So I think I definitely know what I'm expecting of Cassius, but without knowing exactly who he is. But yeah, continue.
Yeah, but other than that, no, he's inwardly he's just as broken as probably some of the other party members. And after losing everything, well, mostly everything, what he spent his life working towards, he's slowly trying to build his way up and find a new path. As he's doing so.
Okay. Any like particular inspirations behind the character or special mentions? Like what's the feel of him Like what like ethnical kind of what kind of vibe you going for?
I suppose a Latin Roman, inspired by the Empire. That's where
Yeah,
the the Latin name.
a true imperial.
That's true, but I suppose a lot of inspiration actually came from some. I don't have the paintings with me now. They're on my phone, but a lot of old artwork that resembles a lot of like soldiers or knights or a lot of the people you don't see, like not the heroes. Like they're like the hero's brother. You know, they're not the one who's like put in fame. They're like the ones who failed, or they're the ones who just like didn't get selected to be the heroic party. You know.
Yeah, but they were still in the story, and let's kind of see that story now. Yeah, and I remember you sending me just like certain words that you were like, "Ooh, this is the idea." Yeah, I'm into it. So I think. Did you have any questions for him, Jess?
No, I think all that should be left when we actually get
Mm-hmm.
RP.
Yeah, you got see. Yeah, you got what you need here. Okay, we'll turn it over to you. Tell us about
Um,
Arden a little bit.
Arden, inspiration went completely on the character art. I found for her. I've had this for a while, so I kind of had like an idea of what I wanted coming into it. Just in the picture, she looks very determined and bloodied, as we can see, and her sword, I don't know, just looks like rusted and old to me. So I built something off of that. Personality-wise, she's going to be a bit standoffish, but once she warms up to everyone, she'll be very, very chummy. So there aren't going to be any problems with her being like, no, I hate you all. Very much likes working in a team for the most part. Yeah, I mean, I let you know that she does have that flaw, that she really does not like failure. She will just keep fighting. So there may be
Hard to
clash.
hard to exercise her from like a combat or when she's like cast her lot, her ballot. Hard to get her to stop. Almost like she's not a barbarian, I don't think, but like still
No, she's
almost
not
like
fighting because she's just angry and needs to rip it up. She's fighting because she has a drive. They have a mission. They got to complete it, and maybe she has problems with failures in her past. But yeah, she's gonna be a little difficult there. But otherwise, she's a monster hunter, or not monster hunter. Well, now monster hunter a little bit, but more mercenary. Yeah. Anything else you need specifically?
for me,
Oh.
we talked about like I gave you a name of where she was from and all that, just like a line of things. And I heard you the other day saying like you weren't gonna do a voice, you were just gonna like do like a pitch thing, let it kind of come to you. But
Yeah.
was there any like, I mean, she's obviously Caucasian, like she's white, but is there any influence, like if he's like a true imperial, thinking in like Skyrim terms now, or like something like that, like what, like you're Draxon actually, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so do you like see yourself coming from like almost like that Transylvanian culture, like the whole monster hunter thing, what we talked about?
Yeah, I've been leaning on that one. That's more like this accent, but I haven't been too sure on it for her.
Yeah, just for my sake of continuity of like where their ethical influence comes from. But
Oh.
even that, like, well, it builds up in game. But I want to set you guys up with like certain terminology and things. Like, yeah, so in game, you don't gonna ask me. You could just name drop things and sound like you know what you're talking about.
Okay.
Did you have any questions for Arden, Cassius?
I do. For one, you said she was here to complete a mission, but what exactly is that mission? Or will we find
No, she's not here to complete a mission. That's just her style of like why she won't leave. Combat usually it's like, okay, if we have a fight, if we have like a mission, she's gonna stay. Like if we get in like a fight with bandits on the road, it's not gonna be like I gotta fucking take them down. But like if we were sent to go and do something, she's getting it done.
What if failure had a better result than success?
That would depend on what you consider a better result.
Like, how about this? Oh, actually, no. I kind of want to ask this in game. I think I might wait on these philosophical pointers.
Okay.
Okay. So yeah, we got a general idea. I already see without. I do know what your characters, but like, let's say I didn't. I could already see where we can get some like RP and things going on between these characters, how they can bounce off each other. Interesting. Okay. Did you have any... Oh, sorry?
No, go ahead.
No, I actually fucking forgot. This is a good point for me to mention. So, Jemiah, yeah, you can't play twice a week, but if we're gonna, we have to at least do once, as I said. So occasionally, when Jemiah Khan comes, I want him to kind of like, he's part of the. I want him to be part of the cast, but at the very worst, like just a reoccurring character who comes in and out. I've talked to you in length about your guy and read your backstory, but why don't you give us your character without giving us your character?
Here,
What can be expected of him? What's that sort of...
here's a man who appears to be happy, but surrounded by shadows, wandering. Most would see him as, but really more like following. With no true idea of what he's truly willing to go after and how he is willing to do it.
So he's the wild card, is basically what you're telling me.
Yes.
He's a middle ground, the wild card, which every party needs. Yeah. So that's, good thing that I remembered that. Was there any blanks or any questions you guys had in your own backstories? Places, faces, the journey you would have taken to get to the Borderlands? Because your character would know, how they got to where they are, outside of like the narrative of it, like what actual roads and stuff they took, right? What's the travel they took?
Yeah.
Sorry, after you.
No, I was just saying, okay. Go ahead.
Oh, thank you. About how many days travel by foot or horse did Cassius have to travel to get to the Shattered Key?
Okay, you guys are all in game, right? You are.
Yeah.
Alright, so the Zarnassus coast, obviously, is on a coast. It is a east coast of that part of the continent that it's on. And that whole area, which is a province of its own to the Empire, from one side to the other, you could do it in like a couple days, 3 days, with like a camel, whatever means you were traveling by. You then come to the mountains. This mountain range is it's a very big, important landmark. It's how a lot of maps that you see will, in some extent, have this on it, like maps of the regions you're in. So after the 3 days from the coast, you come to the belt of Zornomos. It's a jagged chain of mountains known for elemental activity and stuff, and it's a like natural craggy divider, a meridian between the Zarnassus coast and the rest of the Badlands, all the way up until very far until you come to civilization again. But getting ahead of myself, jumping back to your question. So 3 days from the Zarnassus coast to the belt of Zornomos, and then it's like about another week, depending how many encounters and things you get into, because once you go through the belt, now you're going into the Badlands, or there's the pocket of it specifically called the Borderlands that you're going to. And there's the one keep in there. So from the belt of Zornomos, about another week on average, depending. And then within, another couple days. It's like a fortnight from here to the... If everything went perfect for you, you can get from the Shadowed Keep to the Zarnassus coast, maybe in about a fortnight.
Okay. On foot?
No, with like a vehicle of some sort for most of the way. On foot, you just kind of like, not double that, but maybe like 30% more travel time. Because there's certain areas where even actually having a vehicle just makes it harder to get through. The Borderlands, this region is one of the few like teeming, healthy places where there's actually good soil. Things grow here, whereas like beyond the surrounding mountains, beyond the Sierras that kind of create the borderland, is just the Badlands, and they're named rightly so because long have these fields been salted. The place is, it's nasty. Nothing but savages, giant worms, and you get your odd bits of civilization, the chromatic dragonborns and their counterparts, and then their dissonants, which kind of roam in between. And those dissonants are known as the Ravenites. And the Ravenites are actually one of the factions that you all, to some extent, would be aware of within the Borderlands. They're just kind of like the Dragonborn, the mottled mudblood bunch with no home to call their own. Yeah, and then beyond the Borderlands, the big effort actually at the Borderlands is like, it's law, right? This is law establishing itself against the chaos, taking these resources and expanding, right? That's the idea for the bigger thing, the bigger picture beyond your characters. Ideally to them, they would get this area under control. They would open up things to the west and create avenues that would take them to the city of Etiquette, and then curling down south back to places like Kerrisdale, where Arden is from, and just like into the heart of the Empire. This, a lot of what happens in this campaign is actually it's gonna create new roads. It's gonna change the scope of things. The travel you guys all would have had to have taken to get here was the hardest way, but also like the only way really available these days. So that was very long-winded, but to answer your question, about a fortnight, maybe 3 weeks you traveled, Cassius. And you were coming from somewhere on the Zarnassus coast. Maybe you were in view of the sea. Maybe not. Maybe somewhere more like in the fields, beneath the eastern side of the mountains. That's up to you. Whatever you kind of imagine. It's sort of, the Zarnassus coast is very like Madrid, like Spain, sort of, with a dash of Aladdin, Arabian Nights kind of peppered into it. That's what that province is like. So yeah, Belt of Zornomos, Zarnassus coast to the Belt of Zornomos, which then brings you to like effectively a Grand Canyon known as the Capricornico, which eventually opens up to a very arid expanse known as the Sun Sallow Flats, which this area is... It's before you come to the enclosure of the borderland. It's you get a touch here, a vibe of what the rest of the Badlands surrounding it are like. The cracked earth, the salt and grime that seems to just like cling to like plants. It's very unhealthy, very infertile, inhospitable place. And then boom, just suddenly, as you go through the Sun Sallow Flats, following along this river, it eventually comes down and into its own grand peninsula betwixt these Sierras, the borderland stretching about, let me check actually, I'm just guessing, but I think at least a couple 100 miles in any direction. No, that's not right. within 100 miles to any direction. But anyways, once you get into the actual borderlands, it's teeming, it's healthy, there's, you know, vegetation. And then of course the big keep. So those are like main landmarks. I said a bunch of landmark names. I think you would know. I think we talked about already, like, Arden, the trip you took to get here. It's kind of baked into like your backstory.
Not specifics, I don't think.
Well, it's
I know.
similar. Like, you would have been in the Zornassus coast, and like you would have had to have taken the same ways, essentially,
Okay.
traveling through the mountains, through the canyon, getting a glimpse at the Badlands, and then venturing down into a secluded, naturally surrounded region, the borderland.
Okay.
And the border, it would just look like from afar, the borderland, like all the other lands around that are kind of red and brown and just arid, and then there's just like this big cauldron on the inside of it, just kind of teeming with greenery. Definitely stands out. Lovely from afar, but far from lovely. You'll all come to realize. You'll get the grit that you're hoping for, and this will really just be the doorway to the next thing for all of you. So I would say, like, I'm not gonna make you do homework for a D&D game, but hey, bonus points if you do. Like, the humanity handout, that's effectively the majority of the human races, like what they're called. But then again, you have other designations too, right? Like, someone's not gonna say what their bloodline is. You might recognize yourself with being from the empire as a whole, or you might identify with the small village you came from, and like that's what, you know, when people ask you what race you are or whatever. But I will expect, like, your characters do know that kind of stuff. You're aware that all these different types of humans, they all have their different types of languages, right? And people universally try to use common, but it's a thing, and your characters will be aware of that. They're going to be a part of that racial dynamic. Because a big part of my world, well, I took like a lot of my inspiration from real life history, and there is a lot of like racial tension and why, like, the differences between people and so forth. It's a thing. And in D&D too, we also have sprinkled in all these monstrous races and different races, and interesting things to play with. Which, once again, going back to reputations, renowns, and who you align yourselves with, it's all important. You know, that kind of stuff. Gritty rules, you know, you guys have played them enough. Don't even worry about it. Like, when we're playing in game, if a rule is wrong, when we're in the flow of things, the rule of cool supersedes it, and the rule of fool is upon you if you decide to speak up in that moment and break the moment. You know, like,
Got it. Keep your mouth shut.
yeah, everyone just keep their mouth shut, like, you know, except for me. I have the right as the DM to I can arbit the rules, because me making the rules is actually what sets the boundaries. It's what sets the odds. It's how it lets you determine how high the diving board is you're about to jump off of. You understand how the world works, and you understand that if you treat this merchant like a dick, he's gonna do X, and you know that there's weight to the things you do in the world, right? Not just bad things. The good things you do, there's going to be good to it too. But in a rule sense, just whatever. Rule of cool. If I forget something in the moment, or you guys do, no one catches it, and we're all just having fun, well, then we won. So forget about it.
Perfect. I'll try and remember that. Bite my tongue.
All right, we've covered a lot of terminology, and I don't want to bore you guys too much, but, you know, this is what was I gonna do this in? This is like third age kind of thing, which is like the standard time I run my world in. It's, you know, what a lot of the games will take place in. It's just like when everything's kind of chill. The world has a deep, rich history, but there's still many prophecies to be fulfilled, right? You're in this cool, impactful time, and it's, you know, gunpowder exists, but it's not a big thing. Like, a pirate will have it, or, you know, in the Jiaoso Imperium, that's where the pirates are getting it from, right? But you guys are living like that, you know, medieval that token fantasy kind of world, that's setting. Except I'm gonna turn the shaders on to like I'm gonna turn the lighting down. The world is gonna be just a little bit grayer, a little bit darker because that's what we're asking for.
Woo!
Yeah.
Disney story here,
So
baby.
like yeah, no Disney story.
Mm-mm.
It's gonna be gritty and yeah. So it's just like I'm gonna be using weird words like wench and portcullis and
God
especially
damn.
especially when it comes to the keep. There are mangonels. Like, what is a mangonel? Well,
Fuck.
it's a type of siege weapon. It's like this big catapult thing, essentially, but more or less almost like a slingshot. I would describe it better in game, of course. But and people are gonna talk like there's gonna be certain terminology in the world, and that's not even to account for like thieves' cant and like all the crazy shit that.
Have Google up. Got it.
Yeah, and like bonus points to you if you like go out of your way to just like speak all, we're LARPing essentially, right? We're all on our computers, but like I've always wanted to LARP, and this is probably the closest I'll get these days. So, the effort. I'm gonna put the effort in. This is back to expectations. It's kind of expect the same from you guys, and I know you guys are good at this already, so no worries.
Oh.
I think we really covered anything except for like if there's secrets anyone has that they want to talk to me about, but that's we can talk about that prior to the game, without this recording. But like is there like a secret ally that you have, or a secret enemy, or a secret motive you have? Maybe one of you is really a bad guy planted in the party. I don't know.
Try.
No, I don't know. But yeah, I think we covered anything. Anything you guys want to bring up?
No, just semantics, logistics of like how we got here, stuff like that. But that's stuff that we can just talk outside for each individual person because we didn't all travel here together.
Yeah, and I actually want to like maybe go over your guys' backstories again with each of you. So we'll do that maybe sometime this week before we play. But to cap off the recording, I know we all know each other, but here I'll start. I am Pavo, and I will be the dungeon master of this game, the storyteller, Damascus, the mask, and a bunch of characters. I'm looking forward to this. I love playing with my friends. That's who I'll be, and that's who I am. Kick it over to one of you.
I am Jess. I will be playing Arden. I'm gonna be here for that good RP, and I'm gonna keep my mouth shut when things are cool. And I notice there's maybe a small rules problem. I'm gonna not be a rules lawyer. That's my goal.
Oh, and she's essentially human. Like as we freeze frame over you, human, badass.
Human badass. Yep.
Yeah,
And dark armor,
monster
dark
hunter.
hair, dark gray eyes.
Yeah, blood splash on the cheek, not her own.
Deep set
Right.
eyes.
The rest of y'all.
And I am Silver, or Matthew, or I'll be playing Cassius. And I will be making sure everyone has a good time, even to our own detriment. Or should I say, the characters, to their detriment.
Yeah, human, of course, and just the rock of the party, as you said before. And go ahead, Jemiath.
I am Jemiath, otherwise known as the Revenant, bringer of all those who break the D&D rules set by our DM to death. I am playing Gargoyle, hellish black man, yellow eyes, a wild card.
All right, good. And with that, we will continue with episode 1 of Seasons. next time.